All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Borderline. I'm glad we could
Mhm.
pull. I'm glad we could pull this off. Like even though the travel is going to get crazy, and all of our plans between work and personal life are crazy, if we can still make this happen every week, at least just get
Yeah,
something down to kind of throw our thoughts out there,
yeah,
I think it'd be good.
yeah. I'm gonna be going through what you're going through now. You're still in South Florida. After Erie, I go visit Julie's family in the Outer Banks. So somewhere in there, I'm gonna have to find a way to get a couple of shows done out at the Outer Banks that week.
Yeah.
So,
Well, all we need is Wi-Fi, and then hopefully the parrots don't.
yeah, you need
Hopefully
decent
the parrots don't.
Wi-Fi. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're out there with the parrots. You got some
Yeah, the
birds.
parrots are out here squawking quite a bit, and it's a glasses day for both of us because we're
Yeah, old
scrambling and we're old. Yeah,
glasses day.
yeah. So funny. As much grief as I got for sitting in that first class seat on the plane, I heard a moment ago and asked me if I needed anything. I really wanted to get a martini, just to be sipping on a martini while I was doing this show.
Yeah, why
Just,
not, man?
just to add to the lore of all those who gave me such a hard time for that upgraded first class.
Hey, all right. So, do you like your martinis dry or do you like them dirty? Like, what kind of martini guy are you?
I'm a vodka martini, up, just straight, clean.
Yeah,
I don't like. I do like a couple of olives, but I don't like it dirty. I don't like it. A true dirty has the olive juice in it.
yeah.
I don't like that.
Do you like it dry, very little vermouth, or like do you how
I don't
much
like
vermouth?
vermouth either.
So basically, straight vodka.
Yeah, just straight. Yep, just straight up. I think.
Julie's the same way. It's like, yeah, it's an extra dry martini. It's like, yeah, that's straight vodka.
Yeah, just straight vodka. Just straight fire.
Just it's been cooled off with a little ice, and there's a couple olives in it. It's straight vodka. Nice.
Straight fire. No, it's beautiful down here. I absolutely love. I know you don't really like South Florida.
I'm cursed, man.
I'm
Cursed
glad.
with South Florida.
I'm glad
Nothing good happens.
I'm glad you're feeling better. At least I think you're feeling better. Are you
Today's
feeling better?
today's first day, and we're taping, so it's not Thursday. But yeah, it was bad. Ended up in the hospital. It's crazy. It was nuts. I am cursed in South Florida. Nothing good happens to me in South Florida.
Yeah, tell me about this. Where else did this
We
happen?
were in Pompano a couple years ago, or God, 3, 4, 5 years, however long it was, 2018, 2019. I got kind of, I don't know, I was walking back from an establishment kind of late to our Airbnb, and just some ruffians in the neighborhood kind of jumped me. I think they were just trying to cause trouble.
What?
Yeah. 2018, 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all right. So other than that, what else is that?
Other than that, and then I just got really sick and went to the hospital.
Oh,
the
I
next
thought,
time
no,
I'm
I
down.
thought this was like an annual event.
No. I just whenever I'm down there, bad things happen to me. South Florida, man.
But we've been here since 2018, and bad things didn't happen to you, right?
I don't
We've
have
been to
we?
Fort Lauderdale. We've been to Winter Haven.
Winter Haven's not South Florida. I'm talking South Florida. I mean, I'm okay with. I've had some good times in Orlando and up. I'm talking South.
Okay.
Miami. South
Yeah,
of
you're right.
West Palm.
Tampa. Yeah, Tampa when we were there. I mean,
Yeah,
not
that's
Tampa, Lakeland. Yeah, you're right. That's not South Florida.
yeah.
So you're talking literally. So not necessarily the state of Florida.
No,
We're
just
south
South
of Orlando,
Florida.
all the way down.
Yeah. Nothing. The last couple of times I've been down there, tough times. So
Okay.
some people love it. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of tough for me when it never gets cold.
Now,
That's why people love it. But I mean,
were you supposed to? Yeah, we're actually in Coral Gables right now, and it is just it's beautiful. I mean, it's really amazing. So it is pretty down here. It's hot though.
It is hot.
Were you supposed to go to the F1 race with Stacy?
No.
Okay.
No. He was doing that Han Solo.
Gotcha. Probably good for him to be there.
Yeah, I think he had a blast from what I hear.
We watched a good part of it, including the ending on TV. It was pretty cool. It's interesting because it was funny, like because we stayed downtown. We're here all week because Kathy's youngest daughter is graduating from Miami, so we've just been down here for all the graduation ceremony stuff, the pre-parties, all that kind of stuff, and then obviously graduation. So that's why we've been down here this whole week. But so when we were downtown, it was funny because I don't know if I text you this or not, but the people down here are so damn beautiful, like all the guys and the girls. And I was laughing because I was thinking about you and I when we were in Shamar Moore's backyard, and we didn't want to go to the pool because all the beautiful people were going to the pool, and you and I taking off our shirts and going to the pool. Like that's what I felt like in downtown Miami. Like everywhere you looked, it was just beautiful people. Whether it was the groupies, the fans, the drivers, the wives, the girlfriends. It was amazing what was going on with all the F1 people in Miami.
Yeah, and F1's such a different vibe, right? It's definitely not NASCAR.
A little different than NASCAR, yeah. Yeah.
Different world.
Yeah, pretty cool vibe though. But yeah, and I would like to have gone. I've only been to one IndyCar race. Have you ever been to one of those open wheel?
No,
I don't think they call them IndyCar race cars anymore.
I mean, that's still the IndyCar series, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Remember they went through that whole thing where they kind of separated for a while?
Yeah, I think you had
series,
the open wheel series. You had two of them, right? Like they had two competing ones. I think. I don't know.
I think so.
If that ever got worked out, I don't know. I'm not the big racing buff.
Yeah.
I think Formula One's cool. I mean, the cars are obviously the fastest in the world as far as their acceleration.
Yeah.
It's true driving. You're taking rights and lefts. You're not driving in a circle. I mean, it's definitely really cool. I would like to see that acceleration up close. To see how they can go from coming out of a turn to 100 miles an hour in the blink of an eye. I mean, that would be impressive to see. But yeah,
sorry, yeah. And when they go around the corners, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah. So all right. So speaking of South Florida? So what were your thoughts on? I know you weren't there to see it, unfortunately, but any thoughts? Any thoughts on Tony Smith?
We were talking about Tony last night on ACL Live. I mean, I think because previously Wally Kessler and a couple people, myself included, we were like, where is Tony Smith?
Yeah.
What's happening with Tony Smith? Why are we not seeing the Tony Smith that we're used to? And I think we are. I think Tony's kind of coming, kind of flipped the switch a little bit. And now we're starting to see him kind of jump back up and say, no, I'm there. I'm still one of the elites. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. And the talent levels, it's Tony Smith. I mean, the talent level's there. So I think he's kind of dialing it in.
Interesting. Speaking of dialing it in, guess who is playing with a little bit faster bags now and trying to put more bags in the hole? Tony Smith.
Tony. I mean, I think
it worked. I mean, he put in that. I looked at his numbers just before we came on. 10.2 PPR.
Yeah,
put in 32 of the 40 bags.
I mean, I think guys like that are learning. It's one thing to play dirty. It's one thing to kind of block and try to manufacture points that way. But like you've said, if you can't collect all these bags that you've put all over the board, then are you getting twos? I mean, I think you want to play that style of game to see if you can get fives, right? You want to get crooked. You want to get big numbers when you play that way. And when you're leaving boards all over the place, bags all over the place on the board, I don't think you're really capitalizing. So I think guys like Tony Smith are realizing, there's a time and a place for me to go manufacture points, but I've still got to fill it up.
Yeah.
Still got to put it in the hole. And when guys like that, learn that process, and I shouldn't say learn, but now that they understand that they have to put more bags in the hole, they become more dangerous.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, I totally agree. So yeah, he put in 32 of 40. And six more on, so 38 of the 40.
Yeah, and so you look at it like that, and then the ones that weren't in were meant to not be in.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's a different. It's that style that we've talked about that's coming. Got to be an all-court player. You got to find. You've got to be able to throw 20, 24 in a row at a time. But then you've also got to find a way to manufacture points and when to do that. When's the best time? How to keep your opponent guessing so you get them out of a rhythm. And I think that's the beauty of the game now. I think you've got some old timers out there that say the bags are too hole friendly. It's not what it used to be. I think it's better than it's ever been because you have so many different modes of thought now. It's not just you have to play this way and this way only. there's so many different ways to play now. I think the game's better than it's ever been.
Yeah, and really, can Tony be that 5-tool guy that you talk about a lot?
Why
Is he going to
not?
be a guy now who is all of a sudden dangerous because now he's going a little bit faster bag, and now he's starting to fill it up a little bit?
Why can't he be? I mean, his talent.
I think he can. Yeah, I think he can.
And you look at what Devin Harbaugh and then Justin Burton Jr. and the meteoric rise he's on. I mean, Mark Richards even realizing that, yes, he could fill it up last season, but he might need to adjust just a little bit to kind of keep pace. I mean, Matt Guy.
Yeah.
Even, I think the game has kind of matured a little bit. And I want to know, and see now, I talked about this a year and a half ago, looking for the 5-tool players. What's going to be the answer to the 5-tool player? Right? Because every sport has a maturation process, and it goes and ebbs and flows. Football is a perfect example. You have stretches of football where it's defense, defense, defense. Now we're in the stretch where it's offense, offense, offense. Sooner or later, someone's going to come up with a defense that shuts all this stuff down.
Yeah.
Right. And then everyone will copy that for a while. And so I'm interested to see what the next maturation is in cornhole. Like what's going to be that next style.
Yeah.
You all right? You all right, man? You got a bug in your throat? You okay?
Yeah. I told you it was after Friday. I felt great for Friday, and then Saturday, all of a sudden, I got like a summer cold for a couple of days. So I'm still trying to get over that.
Yeah, see, South Florida, man, got some crazy bugs running around down there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but no, I mean, you're right. I mean, in sports, there's all kinds of cycles, and using your analogy of football, like the West Coast offense.
Mm-hmm.
The West Coast offense came. I mean, it's probably been 20, 25 years ago now, but it came into the game and totally changed everything. So you're right. There will be another seismic change at some point.
But that the West Coast offense led to defenses. I mean, the Bears 48-46 defense was kind of a little ahead of its time, but the West Coast offense led to teams like the Baltimore Ravens. Right? Just playing 2 deep zone, but we're going to absolutely destroy you at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And that shut all of that down. They just covered up the angles and shut that down. Then offenses had to adjust. All right, so how do we beat this type of defense? And then now we're in that era that beats those kind of defenses. Sooner or later, there'll be one that comes and shuts all this down. So it's I just love how sports do that, right? I mean,
well, it's just, I mean, we talk about all the time in other sports making adjustments, and the fact that we're seeing players and groups of players make adjustments in the sport of cornhole, I just think it's just fun to watch. It's like watching basketball. We make the same analogy in basketball. It's fun to watch the chess match between coaches making adjustments and the players executing those adjustments to improve their game. And so I love it. And whatever Tony's done to fill it up a little bit, obviously helped him on the open side. I didn't get a chance to watch, but I think he finished 3rd at the Open in Rhode Island.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he won his bracket. Yes, I mean he goes from winning, jumps on a plane, goes up there, and almost wins that tournament.
Yeah. So
yeah, he's Tony Smith again, at least for the last couple of weeks. All right, tangent. Basketball's become this 1 in, 4 out, almost 5 out style game now, where you've got just one, high pick and roll pass jack 3 kind of game right now. Do you think that goes back to a 5-position game, or are we done with that forever? Because I mean, right now centers don't exist anymore, really, unless they can knock down, a jump shot. You don't have that power center game anymore.
Yeah, there's only a few, right? I mean, Joel Embiid and
but even he's not.
And Anthony Davis. I mean, those guys are about that's about as much of a 5 guy as you get now.
Yeah, but I mean, like we were talking about, it comes in flows, ebbs and flows. I mean, there's going to be an answer, because while this game is great when you watch Steph Curry and players like that operate this type of game, that's fun to watch. But the copycats that don't have a Steph Curry or the Splash Brothers, that's not fun to watch.
No,
it's not fun to watch one pass, jack up a 25-footer, throw up a brick, and then you're coming down the other. That's just not fun to watch.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the answer will be. I don't know. Maybe it is fun to watch. Maybe the kids growing up, this is what they like. Cool. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's why Steph Curry changed the game. I mean, that's they all want to be like he is. So, all right. So the question with Tony Smith is, did he do enough this weekend to get into our top 10? We'll find out at the end of the show.
Thought about that pretty long and hard, actually.
Yep.
That's
I've got my 10, and then I've got my keeping my eye on.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit. Congratulations to Rosie. Big win for Rosie. Nerves were a huge issue down the stretch for her and for Lori, and Rosie was able to overcome it at the end and win it. So congratulations to her. She told me after the loss in Topeka, she came up to me right away. She's like, "This is not happening again." She said, "I'm not going to do what I did 2 years ago and lose every time in the finals and semifinals." So she quickly put that to rest and picked up the bid, so she can relax now. But I feel bad for Lori because the nerves got her, no doubt about it. You can say what you want, but the nerves are an issue for her.
But the more she puts herself in that position, I'm wondering with some of the ladies, because now, 2-3 years ago when we start the shootout series, there was like 7 or 8 women that you would say, all right, those 7 or 8, they're pretty much guaranteed in, right? Don't know when they're, Cheyenne's going to win it first, and then however they fill in those next 7 weeks, right, is what it's going to be. I think the pool's deeper now. It's deep enough to where there's certain ladies that you got to start to wonder, like, are you going to qualify? Because, I was talking with Trey about this last night with certain people, like, once you get past week 5 or 6 and there's 2 weeks left to qualify, that puts a lot of pressure on some of the names if they haven't qualified yet. Even though Cameron Belvin, he pointed out to me, which was a person that I actually brought up, he was like, yeah, but she did it the last 2 years on week 7 and 8. Right. So, yes, It is harder and the pressure's there, but it became easier because, all right, you've already got your, 6 of the top females are gone, right? So you're not playing against them anymore. So that makes it a little bit easier. But I think the pool's a little deeper now to where it's not just like, all right, I got through, but none of those other ladies are here now. So now I can just go ahead and win it. I just think it's deeper now and a little bit tougher. So I'm curious if Lori finds her way back. I'd like to see her find her way back this week, at the next shootout.
I'm sure she will. Yeah, it's like Yeti. It's at some point, I'm sure we'll see Yeti, Irwan right there. Another female player who has the ability to Connie Altice. I'm sure we'll see her at some point.
Right, Cameron Belvin.
Because now that these names are starting to fall off the list of ones who qualified already. I'm sure we'll see them rise to the top. But nerves is definitely an issue. And it's whether it's men's singles, women's singles, or pro doubles, it just is. Which by the way, shout out to Noel Monza and Jeremy Frazier. That moment was not too big for Jeremy. He obviously was very confident. His post game comments to Michelle were really funny because he was wearing sunglasses and she's like, "What's with the sunglasses?" And he said, "Well, the lights are kind of bright. Plus, I look good in them, so I figured I'd just wear them." So Jeremy, obviously a very confident person, or at least comes off that way. But interesting. I wanted to bring this up real quick. If anybody wants any little tip of advice, if any players, I know Michelle Thompson's out there helping some people, but I thought about Lori and I thought about Rosie and I thought about I just didn't get a chance to prepare for it like I wanted to this week, just since we're on the road. Yeah. But there is an author, and I looked up his name, Ed Milet, I think is how you say it. But he is basically behind the theory of the power of one more. And if you read his book, you can use it in life and you can use it in sports. And I've used it in the past to help me with my nerves, whether it's a speaking engagement, whether it's a broadcast, and it's a little bit. The power of one more can be used in all kinds of different situations in life. Whether you're in sales, right? The power of one more sales call, like even though as a salesperson, and trust me, I did it for many years, so I know you get told no or maybe all damn day, right? Yep. Make one more call, and that's what he says. Make one more call. If you're in a relationship and it's struggling, try one more time to make a compliment. Try one more time to be the better person, to step up and say, hey, you know what, you look awesome today, or you know what, I love hanging out with you, or with your kids. If they're struggling because in sports or something like that. Try one more time just to say, and I did this with my son. You know, instead of critiquing him after he'd play a basketball game, I'd say, you know what? I loved watching you play today. Absolutely loved watching you play today. I was proud of you. Try one more time, one more thing. And you can kind of translate that. And his book kind of talks about this, but in sports, you can talk about like don't look at the finish line. You know, when they get into round 10, use the power of one more. Like, don't focus on the fact that this ends after 10 rounds. Just keep going. Keep going as if you have to play one more. Play as if you have to play 11. Play as if you have to play 12. Like, keep going in your mind. Don't let your, and in golf, right? With some of these golfers, don't play 18 like it's 18. Play 18 like it's 11. Play like there's one more that you've got to do. It's not over after this. You've got to do one more. And I feel like that takes some, I know it sounds funny, but if you read about it, I feel like it takes some pressure off of you. If you in your mind kind of trick your mind to say, I've got one more. You know, this is a 1-point game. We're going around 10. Doesn't matter. We've got one more after this, one more. And that helps you focus on each single bag when you think that there's more to come. I don't know. It's a pretty interesting book and philosophy.
No, I agree with some of that. I mean, there's been studies done, like they talk about if you're exercising, let's say, and you're going to exercise for 30 minutes.
Perfect one.
Your brain then knows, all right, I'm going to work X hard, but I know I only have to do it for 30 minutes.
Yes, that's a perfect one, Bernie. Yes.
And so when you're not really maximizing your workout, then your brain's already said, all right, I'm shutting this down after 30 minutes. And you're not really producing what you could if you said, all right, I'm going to work out like I've got to work out hard for an hour, but at 30 minutes I'm done. It's amazing how much more you'll get out of that workout that way. I get that part of it. It's
so true.
Just
that's a great analogy.
So hard for certain people, and I'm only really talking about myself, but I know I'm not alone in this. Tricking your brain is very difficult for some people, right? You know, I mean, it just is. I mean, because you know it. How are you tricking yourself? You're aware of it. So that's very hard for some people. Some people, it's very easy to do. They just they're able to kind of take themselves and say, you know what, this is how I'm going to focus on this, and they're able to kind of trick themselves.
Yes.
For other people, it's remarkably difficult because you're trying to trick. Like if you know the answer,
you can't let it go. You can't. And you're right.
Some people just can't. I mean, it's not in our DNA. We're not wired that way.
Yeah.
Like for example, if you've ever gone to a comedy show and there's someone that hypnotizes people.
Sorry, we're getting an audience.
Oh, are we? Like, have you ever been to one of those and there's a hypnotist there and they'll grab people out of the audience? Certain people will come up there and like, no, you got to go. And it'll be people like me, like, no, I know I can't get you. Yeah. You're off.
And if it were me, I would love.
Well,
I would love to be able to use someone like you, but you're right.
You can't, because like you're not going to allow yourself to be like, and it's so weird because you're so aware of what's going on in your own head, which is not necessarily, I'm not saying this is a good thing. I'm saying that certain people just have a hard time, like, because all the self-help gurus come at it. They might have a different take on it, a different look on it here and there, but it's essentially the same thing. You have to trick yourself into this. If you just do this, this, and this, you can trick your brain. It's like, no, you can't. Not everyone's built that way. Not everyone can do that. And so it's tough, because I've thought about this, like, what if I came up with a way for people like me that are so wrapped up in their own head that they could actually trick themselves? There is a group, and you have to let go.
Yes, you have to be willing to let your brain go. And you're right. You can stand there going into the 10th round in a 1-point game, and you can tell yourself, you know what, there's one more. So let's focus on these and then play another round. And your brain can either buy into what you're saying and relax and let it go, or that other part of you can come up in your brain and say, you're an idiot.
Everything's on the line. Now. It's the last
round. 1-point lead, and these are your last 4 bags.
I mean,
you have to, Bernie, and you're right. Maybe you just can't do it, but you have to, in your brain, let it go. And if you're sitting there, you have 4 bags left. You just have to tell yourself, even if that part in your brain, right, comes and says you're an idiot, these are not the last 4 bags. You have to tell yourself, and you know what? Maybe what you do, treat these last 4 bags like they're not the last 4. And then throw 4 more after that. Say, you know what? I'm gonna just for today, I'm going to pretend like this isn't the last round. After this is done, I'm just going to go somewhere and throw 4 more bags and see what happens. Whatever it takes, just to let your brain open up, relax, and just allow yourself to just think for a moment, that there's one more.
It's called,
just for a moment, let yourself believe that there's one more and see what it does. I'm telling you, it just relaxes you. It takes the pressure off of you. Just try it. Just one. I'm not saying you. Just an athlete, whoever may be listening, just try it one time and see if it works.
Yeah, that's the concept of mindfulness, actually. And mindfulness, you want to be totally present, but you don't judge. Like, a lot of people want to say, oh, no, you have to stay positive all the time. It has to be positive all the time. Well, that's not reality. What mindfulness says is it's okay if that's a negative thought, but let's get past it. It's okay if you have an insecure thought. Let's walk through it. Let's get right on past it. Whereas, some people say, no, you can't think that way. It has to be positive. That's great if you're that kind of person, but not everyone is. Mindfulness basically says, all right, I acknowledge that I feel that way. I'm moving past it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if people can do that and be okay within that framework in their head, say, hey, all right, that thought just rolled through here. I'm cool with it. Natural, but I'm moving on. That thought does mean, I accept it. It's part of who I am, but I'm moving on past it. If you can do that, I think that helps free people up at times. But look, there's a reason why you have certain people at the top of every sport or every walk of life or every job. And there's more often than not, it's not necessarily skill. I mean, sometimes it is. There are savants out there, right, that are just more gifted than most people. But for most of us, it's not about skill when you get to a certain level. It's the ability to work with their brain and how their brain reacts under pressure. And that's what separates the best from the very, very good. So it's fun to watch, right? Like, it's fun.
Yeah.
I don't think Cheyenne is naturally more gifted than any other female player. In fact, I can think of a couple that actually might be more naturally gifted. I think Kaylee Hunter might be a little more naturally gifted. I think she could
I don't think I'd disagree with you. She has probably one of the best bags that I see in the sport.
And can do more with it when if she really wants to. But
all around, I think you and I both probably would sit here and say, all around player, Kaylee's probably a fundamentally better player.
Look, Cheyenne's very, very good, and her arm motion is very simple, but Cheyenne under pressure is Cheyenne when it's 2-2, right? It just doesn't seem to change. If anything, sometimes she gets better. Does that mean she's perfect? No, of course not. She has bad games. She's a human being. But when she gets under pressure, or if she has to double dip someone, she doesn't. She doesn't just go away. Now, look, I've seen her in the open singles, against all the players, and I've seen nerves, and I think she'd admit there's 3 or 4 players she doesn't like playing. I don't think they're women. I think there's 3 or 4 men she just doesn't like playing, and I think that's her next step of getting into the top 10.
For sure.
It's like, all right, when I'm playing this person, I just need to play my game. My game's good enough if I play my A game. I just have to. But I want to see Cheyenne play like that against a Matt guy, and it just goes for like hours. Because, they're just going to fill it up, right? They're just going to sit there and, just throw 60 bags in a row on each other. For you, like, the beginning and middle would be boring, but once they got past like 36, 40 bags in a row, it would start to get insane. Yeah. I would love to see that.
So good. Kind of wrapping up these thoughts on mindfulness and other sports. I mean, you talked about basketball earlier. Same thing with free throws on the line at the end of the game. I know specifically there are players, when you're shooting a free throw late in the game, the power of one more is in their thought. It takes the pressure off that. Don't go to the free throw line and look at this as, I have to hit this last one because it's the very last one to win the game. Your mentality needs to be like, you know what? Let's hit this one, but there's going to be more. There may be overtime. I might get fouled again. They may come down and hit a jumper, and then we have to come back and hit more free throws. I mean, there may be more. There may be more. Always think that there's going to be another one, and it takes the pressure off of that one shot, or that one round. I thought it was really interesting. Another thing with mindful, and again, I'm pretty sure his name was Ed. Yeah, Ed Milet. And I read the book, but it was a long time ago, and I wish I could have spent more time researching it. I mean, it was probably, gosh, I don't know, 15 years ago, I think maybe that I first heard about this theory, maybe 10 or 15 years ago. I don't know, but it's really great. The other thing in mindfulness is, you know, I feel like a lot of people struggle with anxiety. I'd be lying to you if I told you I didn't. I was talking to my sister when we were in Kansas a couple weeks ago because I got a chance to hang out with them. And my sister described it perfectly. She's like, there's always, when you have anxiety, there's always this buzz, you know, in the background. It's always this anxiety buzz, you know, that kind of holds her back a little bit. And it's just always there. It's always this little buzz of doubt that you carry with you. And so when you really struggle with anxiety, it's just always there. She couldn't get it to go away. And now she's really worked through it, and she's on the other side, and she's doing great. But when you truly have anxiety, it's just that buzz that you can't get rid of. And while I don't have it to that level, I do get to the point where I'm anxious. But you know, something else I found with mindfulness is like there'd be times where I would be in such a hurry to just, like, I love to check boxes, right? In my day and in my life, I like to check boxes. Just get things done just to check that box. I get more satisfaction probably in checking the box than actually doing the task. But that leads to a very anxious lifestyle. So much so that I would like I wouldn't have showering as a checked box on my daily routine. So if I had to shower during the day, it would cause me anxiety because it would put me behind, right? So in mindfulness, no, I'm serious.
Yeah.
And there's other powerful CEOs and business people. They say the same thing. Anything that you do that's a mundane task that takes you away from actually making money or being successful or getting likes causes you anxiety. So when you get in the shower, I'm just using this as an example, by the way. Maybe it's a dumb example, but when you get in the shower, feel the water hitting your skin.
Be present.
Yes, be present. Feel the water, feel the soap, feel the bar of soap, feel the shampoo in your hair, like feel that moment and allow your body to feel that moment, because that then allows you not to feel the anxiety, not to feel the stress. Feel the water, feel the soap, hear sounds, right? Hear the water, hear the drips hitting the floor. And like you said, be present. It's really interesting. And I feel like, again, if you can let your mind go, and I get it, Bernie, some people can't do it, but if you can let your mind go, it really is liberating. It's so extremely helpful.
Sure. I mean, some of the happiest people you'll ever meet are people that meditate.
Yeah.
Because
we've talked to a few players about that. I wish I did that.
And in mindfulness, the meditation isn't just sitting there thinking happy thoughts. And that's where people get confused, because they think it's you just sit there and you meditate and you think positive thoughts. No, in mindfulness, like I said before, you're meditating, and if it's all a rush of negativity coming through, that's fine. You don't judge yourself. That's fine. Let it come. Wash through it, because it's not going to be 10 minutes of negative. Eventually, it kind of washes past, and then you're moving on to other things in your head. And like, it's amazing how freeing that is, because I used to do it, and the best I ever felt, and I was much younger, and I meditated a minimum 10 minutes every day. Dark, quiet, 10 minutes. Set an alarm. Breathing exercises. And it was amazing how loud my brain would be and how negative it would be.
Wait a second. You used to do this?
Oh, yeah. I was, once upon a time in amazing shape and did all these sorts of things. I know.
Why don't you do the? I mean, I get the working out, all that kind of stuff. As we get older, you and I joke about it all the time. It's tough. But meditating,
it's hard. It's hard to do. I mean, I had reached a very, very low point in my life, and it was either I take these steps or there's really bad places to go from beyond that. So,
well, why don't you meditate anymore?
I should. I don't know. Why? I mean, I wish. I mean, life is that simple, but it's not that simple. But yeah, I should absolutely.
Yeah.
But
maybe it's like we talked about earlier. Just do it. I mean, again, the power of one more. Just allow yourself. Just open your brain for just 10 minutes, and one more time. Just do it.
As long as you can find 10 minutes to be where the whole world's quiet around you. When I was doing that, I lived in a place where I could find a room that was dark and quiet.
Go outside. Can you do it
outside?
Outside
is not quiet. What the type of meditation I'm talking about, you need quiet to where there's not, because outside you hear a car go by, you hear a bird. I mean, that's distraction. That's got your brain thinking about those things. I'm talking about quiet, where the only thing you hear is your inner dialogue and your inner mind. That type of quiet, because otherwise you're not really meditating. You're hearing this, you're concentrating on that. Your brain has to be able to focus on this specifically. And it's impressive when you can do it, because it's they've done studies on it, and they've come out that it's almost like 15 minutes of that type of medication is almost equivalent to a night's rest.
Oh, it's very good for you. Yeah.
And it's,
would it
I
be
would
good?
love
Would it be good to try it outside and help train your brain to lock that stuff out? Because again, going back to like what we talked about with athletes, when they go to the free throw line, and I've probably said this before on the show, but I've talked to college athletes who I will ask after a game, who have hit game-winning free throws, how in the world did you do that? Hitting those free throws, looking up into the student section, they're all waving back and forth. They've got signs, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and they'd be like, I didn't even hear it.
Yeah.
So
well, you've played sports. You've played sports.
But would it be good for you to go outside maybe and learn to practice to train your brain?
I hear you, but then you're not meditating. All you're doing is trying not to.
You're going back within yourself and shutting everything out.
It's a different type of thing that I'm talking about. Mindfulness, you have to be 100% present in here. You have to be. You can't be out here. You can't be actively thinking, I'm not listening to that, I'm not listening to that, because then you're not going through the process of going through what's internal. And it's just different. It's a different type of meditation. I loved it, but I'm the kind of person that needs that. I have to be 100% present in here. Otherwise, my brain's going to be out here. Oh, I hear that bird. I hear that car. Oh, there's a plane going overhead. I mean, all of a sudden, you're not doing what you need to be doing. You're actively, because you can't ignore it. It's loud. But I will say, playing sports is different. I mean, I played sports. I mean, you don't hear the crowd. You don't hear people yelling at you. It's a buzz. You hear this noise. It's like a white noise in the background, but you don't hear it. Yeah. The only time you hear it's when there's like 5 people. That's when you
that's
actually.
That's what makes cornhole so difficult, because everyone's right on top of you.
But that's when you hear it, when there's like 5 people and they're like talking, and there's like that's when you actually hear noise. But if there's a lot of people and it's just white noise, I don't like. Golfers have talked about at the Ryder Cup that they now encourage them on the first tee at the Ryder Cup to make noise and yell and scream while they hit their drives. What they don't want is complete silence, and then one person yells right as they swing.
Right. Exactly.
That's distracting, but a whole bunch of white noise, I think people can deal with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, two names come to mind right away just in this conversation. Devin Harbaugh. Remember, Devin told us that he's now meditating, and that's really helped take his game to another level. But then on the flip side of that, you get someone like Nate Boyer. And Nate has, I don't know if it was on this podcast, maybe it was just a conversation that he and I had. I don't think he'd mind sharing this. I think he's talked about it on his social media or maybe YouTube channel. But that's one of his biggest problems, is that he does have some attention issues. Mm-hmm. And so when he's in a large room, it's really difficult for him, because he might be on a really great roll, right? And then all of a sudden,
you see that over there.
Yeah. He hears something, he sees something, and he just can't let it go. All of a sudden, he's hearing everything. He's hearing chatter. He's hearing a fan. He's hearing other bags on other boards. And now he's totally, And would that be the opposite of mindfulness? Because
you know what that is. You know what that is. I mean, because I'm that way. That's insecurity. That's like you like sometimes with people like it's hard to handle success just as hard as it is failure, because you are playing so well. You're playing at this level, and somewhere deep in your subconscious, it's like, am I this good? And then all of a sudden, it's so easy for your brain to go, oh, you see that jerk over there walking and all of a sudden you allow yourself to be that kind of distracted. That's actually insecurity kind of finding its subconscious way into making. That's so crazy the way the mind is an unreal how the human consciousness works.
And again, going back to the power of one more, you could use the power of one more to get out of that. A guy like Nate Boyer, let's say all of a sudden he hears other bags, he hears other conversations. All right, you know what? Let's block this out for one time. One more bag. Concentrate on one more. All I'm going to concentrate on is that bag. Let's throw one more bag and see what happens.
Sure.
Throws it, and I bet it goes in. Yeah, or he does what he wants with it. Do it again. Do another one. But anyway, so I just thought about that. So I didn't mean for that to be such a long.
No, I think it's. I mean,
for some reason, when I was watching Rosie and I was watching Lori, you could tell the nerves were getting to both of them. I mean, Anthony and I were talking about it. It was obvious to everybody. I just thought about that. I'm like, how do you get over that? And I was like, wow, what was that book that I read a long time ago? That was it. It's pretty powerful.
Don't you find, though, the hardest thing to do is when you're in the middle of it? Like, you can have all this preparation, right? You can meditate and start to prepare your mind. But when it happens in that moment, in front of people, under the lights, it takes a special type of person to just say, done. Everything else is done with. Next back.
I think it's so simple that I think you can. But you're right. Under the lights and everything. It's difficult.
Anyone can, but once again, I think what separates certain people is some people can just do it without even thinking about it. It's just innate in who they are, their ability to absolutely focus. I've always been jealous of people like that. Always.
Yep. Anyway, so that's our little bit of borderline sports psychology.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I really think it is. I mean, again, it's helped me. It's very simple. Something that a lot of people can do. And maybe it's even something, Bernie, because the moments are so big, it comes so fast. Like when we were talking with Jake, right? Jake said the game was so fast. Everything happens so fast when you're on national TV like that. So maybe it needs to be a mindset that you go into. You go into the match, preparing your brain for it, preparing for one more. So that way when it pops up, okay, we're ready for this. Let's do it. One more. Give me one more. Power of one more.
Yeah. I'm with you.
All right, a couple other things. Oh shoot, you know what? We're gonna run out of time quickly. We got to get to our top 10, our new power rankings. You know what? I thank you so much to everybody who listens to the show. By the way, when you do a podcast, I don't know if you feel this way. I think sometimes it's just weird for me sometimes to think that there's actually people out there who want to listen to somebody do a podcast. It's so raw, right? It's one of the few, like if you're a sports writer, you can delete, right? You can write something, delete it, change your mind, change your thought, tweak it, make it perfect, put it through spell check. You can't do that when you do a podcast. And unless you've done it, I don't think people realize that. I mean, there's no filters. And I heard Matthew McConaughey talk about this. And with his book, Green Lights, that he wrote about a year ago, it's a great book, by the way, if you haven't read it. He wanted that book to just, and it was about his journals. He's been journaling for a long time, but he wanted it to be no filter, just write, just words. He wanted there to be very little edits, just non-filtered. And I thought about that with podcasts. This is non-filtered, so it's, so you always wonder when you put one out there, is anyone really going to listen to this? I mean, who wants to listen to us talking? But anyway,
I think you'd be surprised. There's at least, like I said, there's always 10 people.
Yeah. Well, and I know there's 2 because we had 2 people who reached out who want T-shirts. That was my point. So thank you to the 2 who reached out, who for sure said they want BoarderLine T-shirts when we come out with our T-shirts. So
you know what, Jeff?
Maybe it's the power of 2.
To power of 2. To your point, I think we actually try to help people with our show. I think there's, and I'm not comparing other cornhole podcasts, yada, 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 because a lot of it's people being silly or they're getting very dense with cornhole information and statistics. We talk about cornhole a lot, maybe too much considering our talent level and our true knowledge of the game. But I think we're trying to help some of the people in this industry. Like, we
wouldn't do this. We wouldn't do this, and we wouldn't be able to do it for this long and do it every week if we didn't care and have a passion for the sport and for the people who play it.
Yeah. And we're giving, I think we're letting people think differently. I think the people that watch our show and like our show think a little differently about the game of cornhole. They're not, look, there's lots of silly ones, right? They'll talk about what you've been drinking while you play, this, that, the other, but I think people like to think differently that watch our show. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I hope you're right. I don't know.
We help people, Jeff. Just think of it that way. You're a doctor.
You know what I would like to do? Well, I would like to stop Adobe Flash Player from always reminding me that I need to update right in the middle of our damn show.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Always comes and takes over my screen. Hopefully you don't see that.
No, you can't. Don't you like that, though?
No, I forgot what I was going to say. I know. So, all right, are we ready? We need to do our power rankings before we run out of time. We got like 4 minutes left. Ready for power rankings?
I guess.
We're on the road, and I don't want to deal with music this week. I do
no,
like the music.
We're good. We're good. I don't even know if I can do mine. All right, number 10 is going to be Cheyenne Bubenheim for me.
Let me ask you this real quick. How much did yours change from last week? Because
Not much. But the thing is, it changed so much, and I was moving people around that now I can't read it.
So that's why we wore our glasses today, so we could read our list.
Cheyenne, I've got Cheyenne at 10. I've got Joe Niestedt at 9.
Okay.
Number 8 is my 8 slot. I've got Alan Rawls I'm throwing in my 8 spot. I haven't had him in. Alan Rawls has been playing just exceedingly well. Number 7, this one's kind of tough. I actually brought Tony Smith in at number 7.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to bring in Tony as your 8 spot this week.
No, I got him at 7. I've got Alex Rawls at 6. I've got Justin Burton Jr. dropping down to 5. Don't know why. Really shouldn't have. I've got Kyle Malone at 4. Matt Guy at 3. Mark Richards at 2. Devin Harbaugh, number 1. There is a name missing there, if you're paying attention.
Yes. Jamie Graham.
I think he has to play better. I mean, do I think he's one of the best 10 players in the world? Absolutely.
But he wasn't in Rhode Island, though, was he?
No, and he's just not. I mean, who knows, in his backyard or wherever he's training or whatever he's doing, he might be that person. We just haven't seen it in a while. But until I see it again, I'm kind of on the outside looking in. But
okay.
He's still. Do I believe he's a top 5 talent? Absolutely. I just haven't seen it in a while, so I can't legitimately continue to put him in there when I haven't seen it.
Right. Okay. So I will tell you right away on mine. Tony Smith is now onto my just on the outside. What do we need to call it? Like, I love in the NCAA tournament, the last 4 in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what we call it. Maybe last 5 in or something like that. So Tony Smith is definitely on that list for me. Ryan Windsor is on my watch list. Maybe that's what we call the watch list. Cheyenne, I don't have her in my power rankings yet, but she's on the outside on the watch list. Frank Modlin, again. I mean, Frank continues to really play well. Okay, so here we go with my 10. I'm still keeping Jake in there until I see Jake play again. Again, like I mentioned last week, this is no fault of his own that he can't play in the shootouts. He's just too young. So I'm still keeping Jake at number 10 just because he did so well at the first national and really played well on national TV. The game just got away from him. He was up 17-2.
Look, man, you're right. I mean, he's a 1 seed going into the next national.
Yeah, I mean, so anyway, so he's my number 10. I'm keeping Jamie at number 9. Alex Rawls at number 8. Hunter Thorne at number 7. Number 6, Joe Niestedt. Then I'm going to switch a little bit. And I hate to be so reactionary, but I can't keep Matt. And really, I thought about dropping Matt a little bit further, but it was just one night. I was shocked, and I know you didn't get a chance to see it. I was shocked with what happened to him. He just was not Matt Guy in Miami or in Miramar, Florida, South Florida, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. It just wasn't the same. So I'm going to drop Matt, still in my top 5, but I'm going to keep Matt number 5. Then it gets tough. I'll go with Kyle at number 4. I'll keep Mark Richards number 3. And then I got Devin Harbaugh at number 2 and Justin Burton Jr. at number 1. I really thought about moving Devin up, but I'm just going to keep it the same for right now. And again, I'm not even sure much will change next week in Fort Worth, but I cannot wait for Erie because that's going to really shuffle everything.
The top 5 for me is a coin flip with all those players. I mean, any given day, I mean, you could literally line them all up, flip some coins, see how it plays out, and then put that as your 5. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
In any way you want to put those players. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with you having Jake, and Jake's kind of on my outside looking in because I don't know if one amazing tournament makes you a top 10 player in the world.
I don't know either. We'll see in Erie. We'll see if he's still. We'll see,
but if Jake backs that up,
yes, yep,
he's absolutely in. If he plays to his 1 seed and wins his bracket, he's absolutely in for a while.
Agreed.
All
right, dude, we gotta go. We got 10 seconds left. All right. I'm glad you're feeling better. I'll see you at Fort Worth, right? You'll be in Texas.
Yes, sir. A couple days.
All right, dude. I will see you there.
All right,
the power of one more. Remember the power of one more. All right, dude. Thanks for watching, everybody.
See you guys.